What's up, Internet World, and welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you the 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe. So we are totally late to the party on reviewing a Hyundai Santa Fe, and that is because Hyundai actually doesn't do that well on our channel, and we don't know why, because Genesis absolutely kills it, and so does Kia. So Hyundai, come on, give us some love. So we're gonna go over this 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe in depth, because maybe you wanna save the 10 to 15 grand over the GV70, or maybe not. Let's find out. Now in 2021, the Santa Fe got a facelift, is what they told us, except it actually didn't. It actually got a whole new platform. Yes, they put a whole new platform on the Santa Fe, so really it should be another generation, but no, they said it's the same generation, just a facelift. So here we are in 2022, because it also shares the same platform as the Kia Sorento, and it's called the N3. Anyways, who cares about all that stuff? What's important are the trim levels. But also they confuse us on that one, because in the US, the top model is called the Calligraphy. And in Canada, they're still holding on to the past, because the past was called the Ultimate. And now they're calling it the Ultimate Calligraphy, which is actually kind of confusing, because the Ultimate Calligraphy sounds like it's more high-end than the regular calligraphy. Canadians. So to make it even more confusing in Canada, there's 5 versions. The first one's called Essential. Pretty straightforward, makes sense, and that's where you get the base engine. Next up is Preferred, where you can get all 3. You can get the hybrid, the base engine, and then a plug-in hybrid. And then the next one's called Urban, where you can only get the performance engine. That's the same engine that's in the Sorento, which we'll talk about in a minute. Then next up, you get the luxury hybrid, which is this. You can get a regular hybrid or a plug-in version. And then finally, you can get the ultimate calligraphy, and it's only available in the turbo engine, which is the high performance version. Now, if we start with the front, you will see the headlight design is a little bit different. Now, we've seen it in the Hyundais in the past, but this is sort of unique. It's got a T-type split here. See, it says T right here. Now this is just for your DRLs up top, and on the bottom here is where your low beam, high beam, and signal light goes right there. Now getting to the grille, you will see this large meat tenderizer type pattern. It's large and in charge. It's got the satin chrome feel, really nice quality piece. It even follows through on the bottom here with this lower valence. Now this meat tenderizer pattern also comes through on the bottom here, except it's just plastic and not the satin chrome feature. Even interesting enough, they have this sort of curtain feel that flows all the way through around the front wheels, that it actually works. This is a functional piece. Kind of cool, Hyundai, kind of cool. And of course, all your radar pieces are hiding underneath here. Let's check under the hood. Now, under the hood is where it gets a little bit complicated. You see there's 3 different engines you can get and 4 different power outputs you can get. Now in Canada, they're all-wheel drive, so let's start with the base engine. Now the base engine is a 2.5 liter non-turbo that makes 191 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque. Very similar to the 181 horsepower and torque we have in the Mitsubishi Outlander behind us. Next up is the luxury hybrid, which is what this one is. It makes 178 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque out of a 1.6 liter engine, except that's not the power it actually makes, because when you combine it with the electric motor, it makes 258 pound-feet of torque and 226 horsepower, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, if you get the big boy, the turbocharged 2.5 liter, then you get the same thing as you get in the Kia Sorento, and that's 311 pound-feet of torque and 200 and some crazy amount of horsepower. Now when you get the plug-in hybrid version, you get 30 miles of range when you plug it in. Now moving along the side here, as you will see, wheels, these are 19-inch wheels with the hybrid version. You can get them in 18s, 19s, or 20s, depending on which trim you pick. You can also get approach lights when you walk up to the car, the lights come on. This thing does have indicators on the side, again, heated mirrors, and fancy top satin trim on the top of these door handles. Now, just like Kia as well, when the key's in your pocket, you walk up to the car, the back doors don't unlock. You have to use the front ones. Again, I'll complain about this until they actually change it in their lineup, where all 4 door handles are keyless, which would be super awesome. Now, as far as length goes, this is 108 inches as far as the wheelbase, and the Outlander is 2 inches shorter, and that is a 7-passenger. Let's take a look at the back. Getting in and out of the Hyundai Santa Fe. This is why people buy them, I guess. Come take a look at this roof rail. It's really strong and sturdy, and it feels like it's part of the chassis of the car holding it all together, so there's no twisting and bending. Now, as far as fuel goes, this thing takes almost 18 gallons of fuel. It's very good on fuel. Now let's take a look at the back here, and you'll see it has this LED strip bar that goes across here. Now the back of the Santa Fe is kind of boring, if you ask me. I don't know, I can't say I do like the back of this. Yeah. Unless, of course, you're towing 3,500 pounds, which you can tow, because, hey, at the end of the day, that is important, because that guy can only tow 2,000 pounds and does have trailer sway control, and when the key's in your pocket, I can kick this thing, and then the gate will open up. So how much room do we have in the back of the Santa Fe? So let's take a quick measurement here, and we've got 44 inches deep. Are we close to 46 in terms of width? Nice, 40, almost 47, sweet. As far as height goes, 31, that's sort of standard. So yes, this does have more room in the back than that Mitsubishi Outlander. But how about underneath here? Okay, put my finger underneath, pull. All right, not a whole lot. Obviously you have your tools there, but underneath here, which is the theoretical 7-passenger, nice. We've got 3 separate compartments. You can put 3 individual. Voila, it closes down. There is a cigarette lighter. You can plug your cigarette stuff in here for a pump or whatever you like to use it for. And then 2 buttons that fold down the seats. Let's hit the left one because I missed pressing it. And voila, it goes down. But how much room do we have to the back of that console? This is a big vehicle. Wow, just over 6 feet. Nice. Wowzers. Let's jump in the back seat and see how they feel. Back seat of the Hyundai Santa Fe. The inside is a lot better in my mind than the outside. The outside just looks like plain and kind of blah. But the inside, they have definitely spruced it up. They put this diamond stitch pattern up here, similar to the Outlander actually. It's really interesting. It does have better seats though in the back. They are bolstered out better, and they do have this leg extension piece that sort of stiffens out here. Also, they do have an cup holders that's not tied to the whole seat coming down like in the Outlander. Also, like, it just feels a little bit better, quality. Like even moving this up and down, the roller in it feels better quality. Touching the door, the plastics, or even have this nice finish at the touch of them. Obviously it does have heated seats, 2 increments. The Outlander has 3. Now take a look lower on the door panel. Look at this speaker grill. It has this like mountain range design on it. It's like all these ups and downs, really, really cool and really good quality. Nice to touch with my fingers here. Now underneath that, you do have sort of a bottle holder in the door, but it's very short. And that's because, of course, the speaker grills want to take up most of the door panel feature, but unfortunately it does take away from the bottle holder there. Again, cup holders are good here. You do have vents back here, which is nice. 2 USBs, no USB-C back here. But yes, they have 2 full glass panoramic panels, as opposed to that thing has a small one in the front, and the back one actually stops right here. That feels really claustrophobic, but sitting back here, do feel airy. There's definitely a better feel back here than the Mitsubishi, 100%. Front seat of the Hyundai Santa Fe. Close the door. Better quality than the Mitsubishi, I kid you not. It feels more premium. Yes. Anyways, now that we're here, I can tell you that this thing has 2 memory seats on this side. How does the seats feel? They feel pretty good. They do have that leg extension built to them. You cannot adjust the leg extension, but they're sort of built into the seat itself. As far as bolstering, it feels good, feels solid, feels fairly premium. Now it does have lumbar support on this thing. It has lumbar support up and down, not just front and back like the Mitsubishi. And the part that I like the most, which might be totally odd, is the pedal on my foot is actually on the bottom. It's on the base of the floor, and I simply press like this. It's not one of those that's from the top and I have to push down like that. That is economy, but when it's on the bottom, it feels premium, like the BMWs when they first came up with it. And I was like, yes, good quality. Now starting on the left here, we do have keep you in your lane. So when I push this button, it keeps me in the lane. If I want to center it and keep myself, I press this button, and now I'm staying in the center and it steers for me. Now I do have another button here, and it's a hold button for my trunk. So when I push this thing down, the trunk opens, and then the trunk closes when I push the button again. It obviously does have an electromechanical parking brake on the side here as well, no foot pedal. Now moving to the driver's position here, it does have a smaller steering wheel that's easy to grab. It's not big and thick, it's just nice to touch with my fingers. All the buttons you need right on the steering wheel here, your cruise control, your different modes, to pick up the phone, to hang up the phone, your cruise control, as I mentioned, and of course your radio stations and buttons. But what catches my eye is this massive driver's display here. It's all digital, very easy to use, lots of different designs, and we'll get into that in a minute. Now, if I move here to the center console, the top screen here is not the 10.25, 10 and a quarter inch screen we're used to. It's a smaller screen, but this one's good because this one does have wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay. You see, the Mitsubishi only has wireless CarPlay and not wireless Android Auto. This guy does. Moving down here, this sort of has a separation for your vents, nice and long and big here for your vents. Underneath there's your HVAC controls. Like all Kias and Hyundais, very straightforward, very easy to use. And moving down here, it doesn't have your conventional shifter. It's just simple buttons. So you have park, reverse, neutral, and drive. Now it does have auto hold. And what auto hold is essentially when you come to a stop, you don't have to hold the brakes. It automatically holds for you until you press the gas and then it trods away. Underneath that, you do have heated steering wheel and then of course your drive mode. So it has 3 different drive modes and 3 different terrain type modes. It does have sort of a hill descent button there. And then of course underneath there you have your camera button and then your heated seats and ventilated seats. Now this does have ventilated seats, but the Mitsubishi does not. You cannot get ventilated seats in the Outlander, only heated seats. And moving down from there, I push this button and then you have your USB and then of course your extra cup holders. So you have 2 cup holders and a wireless charge. You simply slide over here and it goes in this little compartment there. So nice, easy to use, and a pretty deep center console here. Pretty enough to stick 2 bags of potato chips. And other than that, nothing that really sticks out. Everything's pretty straightforward, very basic, very easy to use because the meat and potato really is about the tech. So let's jump in the screen and take a look at what it has. So this is a fairly straightforward agent screen. The fact that it has radio, media, and a favorites button is pretty cool on one side, and then seek, track, setup. But the 2 knobs here are the key features. You can easily touch it, easily change it. There's no fuss with this thing, and that's what I like about it. It's fairly straightforward. Also, again, wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay. Most people are going to use that in the system, so there's no real point digging deep into what the radio looks like. The key here is this driver's digital display. So let's take a quick look at the different driver modes that we can show you, and of course all the little sort of settings you can see. So we have 3 different driving modes: Eco, Sport, and Smart. We'll throw it into Sport. That way I have a backlit carbon fiber design. Keep hands on steering wheel. Ian finds that this steering is kind of heavy. He hasn't driven the Mitsubishi yet, but I'll tell you, this is not heavy. It is sort of heavy, but it's a good feel heavy. It feels premium in German. Thank you, Santa Fe, for letting me know that I was going to smash in the Chevy Trax in front of us. All right, so let's try to launch the Santa Fe. Now, obviously it is hybrid, so I cannot get any sort of revs going on. So my foot's on the ground right now and I'm on the brake, and I'll just simply move my brake off and off we go. Now again, this has a 6-speed transmission, so I don't expect this thing to shift very, very fast. Not bad. Not bad. Super weird not seeing an RPM gauge. I can hear it, I know when it's shifting, but I don't see when it's shifting because I got a power gauge. Foot to the ground again. And it's cool that I can see that most all the power is on the front wheels, and I got about half the power on the back wheels there. All right, now as far as steering goes, obviously there is lots of flex, but it's because it's smooth. I've always liked the way Kia and Hyundai, their suspension is. It's just soft, it's direct. I know the predictability of the vehicles, which is really nice to have. It doesn't make me like overconfident, but at the same time doesn't make me underconfident when I drive them. And on the brakes. Yeah, brakes feel pretty solid. Yeah, feel good. Feel good. It's cars like this, no real complaints. I mean, everything is really personal preference. Do I like the door panels? Yeah. Do I like the center console? It's just my opinion. But that doesn't really mean a whole lot. These things are just they've just done a good job like honing their lines of how to build a car. They're like, we're not making something that's super luxurious. We're not making something that's economy and basic. We're keeping it right in the middle, in the sweet spot where people like, give you all the toys that people want. What else is there? Hard to review these cars, man. Not so easy, because it gives you everything. Now, this is not the calligraphy or the ultimate calligraphy, but it's luxury, and I kind of see it, feel it. So when my foot's on the ground, power distribution is about 50-50 all the way around, up to about 80 kilometers an hour. And then after 80, I lose about half to the back wheels, and then that power is sent to the front. So about 75% to the front, full throttle after 80 kilometers an hour. There you have it. Foot to the ground again. All right, there we go. After 80, 75 to the front, 25 to the back, and it alternates a little bit on shifting points. Keeping my lane, Hyundai. They just have the best system about keeping me. Look at this. Just like, yeah, it's like a no-brainer. Push this button as well. Go, keep hands on steering wheel, touch, touch. It's like the best. Look at this, right centering me perfectly. Nobody does it better. Just, there's nobody that does this better. It's just like the best at lane centering. I don't know who designed the system, but they need to get a raise. Keep hands on steering wheel. Chip, chip, chip. Look at this, perfect. Just so predictable, so easy to drive. Yeah, the end. That's all I can say about this Hyundai Santa Fe. Pretty straightforward. They've done a great job with it. It's just ever improving the same model all the time, just ever improving it. But if you ask me a real question, like would I buy this or the Sorento, I would probably buy the Sorento because I just like the way the Sorento looks exterior wise. I find this a little bit bland. I feel like they could have done a little bit more, making it like super sexy. But at the same time, in here, how does it compare to a GV70? A GV70 is a little bit quieter, even though this thing has dual pane windows. Yes, dual pane windows. So, what would I buy? What would I buy? Well, if I got 15 grand extra, I would be buying the GV70. If I didn't have 15 grand, I'd be buying this thing. Well, not the luxury, but the calligraphy version. You get the point. Now the question should be, what engine should I buy? Should I buy the hybrid? Well, if you live in the city and basically you're puttering small distances, then 100% buy the hybrid. Or should I buy the one that makes more power? Well, if you live on the freeway and you're driving fast all the time, then I probably wouldn't buy the hybrid. I would buy either the non-turbo version or the turbo version, depending on your budget and what kind of equipment you want. Again, if you're looking at a GV70, then obviously you're going to be looking at the ultimate calligraphy. That is pretty much the same as this, except a little bit more bells and whistles. This feels very quiet, just like the GV70, as I mentioned. Now, with that said, if the question is, will the hybrid be very close to the 2.5 liter turbo? The answer is no, because the transmission, remember, this is a 6-speed, not the 8-speed. So for me, I'd be buying the bigger engine because I like speed and I don't really care about fuel. But for those that do care about fuel, this is the one you need to buy. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to subscribe.